Okay, for those of you that don't know how Grand Conquest works, basically like a territorial mode. Think of maybe like playing like Risk on a board game or something. The mode concept, I think, in general, I really do appreciate something like this. It gives us plenty of gameplay within this mode. You can literally play for a long time. See? Here I am.
So, I came out of that weapon of yours.
Scandalous. I was playing for a couple of hours. You could also get this mode done real fast. So there's two ways to play it. You'll look at the stamina up here, and basically every single lance here, or spear, whatever you want to call this, is equal to one potential battle. But what you can do, for example, is jump into an area, click it, and then you can use like all of them at once. Like this, like boost times 6, and this will make it so you have 6 times the points. This is interesting to this mode because for maybe some of you that don't have the time commitment to play through each and every single stamina crest, do like one match and get your points dumped into an area ASAP. However, this might not be ideal if you want to play this mode more strategically, which I'll get to right now. You can also refresh your stamina using these crests over here, this special crest, which you do accumulate more of just by advancing in the tier. The tier is located right here. So if you click on check rewards, basically the more points you contribute to your team, the higher you'll raise in tiers. And the tiers they're not like arena tiers. There's not like a limited amount of people in tier 20. These are more or less milestones and how much impact you've had in Grand Conquest. So don't look at this and be like, OMG, only a few people can reach tier 20, just like arena. It doesn't work like that. You can reach tier 20 just by playing the mode. And honestly, you could probably get to tier 20 and then just call it a day. Basically, just don't play the mode if you really don't like it. However, I would encourage participation here because if your team does underperform due to your lack of participation, then you will likely suffer for it. Now, I would consider this maybe like an element of RNG because you just end up, getting a poor team or something, and then you're just gonna end up not getting as much feathers. Like, there's a drastic difference here. Imagine a team gets wiped, they get 1,300 feathers, 1 coin, and these medals are basically useless. And then the team that does amazingly well gets 7,000 feathers and 10 coins. That's a huge difference. Huge difference. And that's actually quite upsetting because it might be totally out of your control. But again, the way you really want to do this is make sure your active participation is as high as possible. Try to incorporate some strategic gameplay in the decisions you make playing the mode, and maybe you'll have an impact to control the amount of feathers that you may or may not gain. So, welcome to Team Anna, guys. This is how many tiles we control. That's pretty poor. And yeah, let me show you some ideas on what you can do to try to optimize your chances of your team winning. So first of all, you basically just want to click this button anytime you see it available. There seems to be no reason not to. It doesn't seem to take any sort of cost. You literally just click it and it gives you free stuff. You do it every single round. There's a round every hour, 22 hours, 22 rounds. Click it, you get free stuff. So I just got 100 transparent crystals. That's basically useless, but whatever. It's a way of saying like, hey, I'm here, team, give me stuff. But anyways, let's talk about the actual areas themselves. First of all, this may look like an advertisement where it says, try this, and don't actually try this. At least like right away, don't just like look at it and be like, okay, that's where I'm gonna battle. Because you can fight anywhere that there's a highlight. So you see all these, the reds, 3 reds here, a green, a red, a blue. These are any territories that you can fight in. You can't fight over there on Alphonse's HQ, unfortunately, but you can fight on any of these tiles here. And just because it says try this, it doesn't mean that's actually the most ideal place for you to be spending your precious stamina. So what you want to do is actually zoom in like this and see how the results of most of these battles are going. You'll see, for example, that this tile up here has 5,800 points versus 244, which means that we are mostly controlling this. But because the discrepancy is so small, it means that anyone from the red team, Alphonse's army, could jump in here. They could basically use all their stamina, boost it up, have one successful match, and then they would take this control of this because there's not a lot of participating going on here. So you could have an influence just as one person to come in here and try to contribute to secure, you know, the points over here. Whereas if you look around, it says try this, but this is actually the most heated area, 4, 11, 5. You'll see right away that there's a lot of people participating in this zone, and like you're actually wasting your stamina fighting here. Because if you actually just look at the points, right? You click it, 68,000 is on Sharena's army, 20,000 on Alphonse, and we just have a measly 6k. So this is literally a debate. You would be making a very poor decision to be spending your, you know, your resources, stamina. Assuming you want to contribute properly to an actual victory in this mode, don't go in here on this and say, I'm going to contribute like 2k points on 68, trying to compete, trying to overtake 68,000. That's literally impossible for a single person to do. This would require like a coordinated attack. Now, the thing is, maybe you're saying, oh, you know what? I'll get on a forum with other Team Anna people or Team Alphonse or Team Sharena people and we can coordinate an attack to win this. Well, first of all, you'd be spending a lot of resources through multiple people doing that. But also, you don't actually end up in the same, I'd call it zones as other people. So I don't know the total specifics on this. I don't know the exact specifics, but there are a certain amount of people allocated to fighting zones on every outrealm. Well, you'll see right here, outrealm 285. That means that anyone else who's on outrealm 285 is also fighting on this map right here. But this map is different for other outrealms. It looks different for other people. So you can't really coordinate very well with other people. You gotta hope for the best and make your individual decisions count where they can. So I guess the most ideal situation, the goal, the mindset you want to go in here is contribute points to reach tier 20, GC tier 20, because you want to try to get as many orbs and rewards as possible. The stones are nice. Stones end up being dues eventually. I don't mind the badges as well. It means we have to do less farming in training stratum and such. And if you allocate your points correctly, you may have a decent enough impact to possibly raise the area count enough for giving yourself extra feathers. So, you know, take my advice for what you can. And play smartly. Don't just get debated by try this. You know, you're not going to be able to contribute enough points here. So, you know, let's look at it right now. Where should I fight? Let's look at it. And then we'll fight there, we'll contribute to it, hopefully make enough impact to secure an area. And then we'll talk about a little bit of a team comp that I noticed. So for instance, like I said earlier, this one is close, but it is in our favor. This one here is in our favor a little bit, but again, Alphonse's army could indeed take it back. Go over here, and we notice it's very close. But there is these effects here, you'll notice, which gives armors a huge advantage on this map. When creating a brigades comp, you got to really consider how the map looks as well. So I'm looking at this one here. It's currently controlled by red, and I could maybe contribute a decent amount here that if someone else was to participate, that we may take it over, but I might not want to count on that. So I think it's a better idea that I secure the areas we already have, or go in areas where I can make a big enough difference. So for example, this one has 12,000 versus 100. I would need at least, you know, a good amount of people going in here to secure this. We don't want to try fighting here, but I think just on my battle alone, we'll bring it over to our side, and yeah, we can go from there. So first thing you want to do before fighting in one of these modes here is obviously if you're a newer player, don't try to do Infernal or even Lunatic. The mode itself is a little bit more complicated than your traditional gameplay, I'd say. I'll try to explain it as I do it, but essentially if you're not used to like the teleportation stuff and the base controls, and not used to really a time limit, then I don't recommend jumping into Infernal and Lunatic as a newer player. I'll just want to click on the map, let's say on Lunatic, because I intend to do Lunatic. And I'll explain why I intend to do Lunatic. Why I recommend Lunatic over Infernal. If you believe in your team, basically you want to choose a mode in which you can try to aim for the final fort. So if you think that your brigade is good enough to take on all forts, then you may want to consider hard. If your brigade is good enough to take all forts, then do normal. Many people are not going to be able to do Infernal, even myself. you need a decent amount of luck to hope that the counter units don't spawn on the enemy team. They'll be incredibly saturated in levels and merges and good skill sets too. I mean, you're fighting basically real people's units, so you're not going to be fighting things that are easy to beat. So an element of luck, and basically you want to have like tons of +10s to successfully do Infernal. So I don't recommend doing Infernal for pretty much anyone unless you're, you have amazing friends with tons of +10 units. But in my case, I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to use as much as I can because I just want to go in, blow it all in, and secure this area, help whatever I can. And we're going to do Lunatic, and I'm going to do my best to secure all forts. Luckily for me, I do have a brigade, but yeah, you'll see this map here. You have to be very analytical when you look at these maps to understand what sort of team comps do work best. So you'll see that there's mountains, and a huge choke point in the middle. And what this indicates is that actually flyers would really have a good advantage on this map because they can fly over the sides, possibly do some back doors if everything is grouped up here. So don't try to go in here with like infantries, cavalries, and armors. They'll all get bloated within the middle, and you might even struggle to take this base. So you really got to consider your team comps. And yeah, that's what I recommend here. Good, lucky for me though, I do actually, my brigade currently is set up as flyers, and I'll show you guys in a second here. I have a brigade here that's actually pretty optimized for this map already. And basically how I recommend the units themselves fitting into this whole brigade team comps. What you want to try to do, especially this map that we just saw with the mountains, you want to start off with your flyers, give yourself in good positions. You want units, I've found out that units with Gale Force and high mobility, so cavalry units with Gale Force or flyers with Gale Force are extremely potent in brigades. Any unit that can move multiple turns is going to be able to clear things extremely fast, and I highly recommend it. If you can pick up things like Cordelia, who comes with Gale Force, if you have the Brave Boy, I have Brave Boy here, but he's not on my team comp right now. Mine happens to be minus speed, so he's not exactly ideal for it anyways. But yeah, Gale Force units are extremely potent in brigade comps, and I highly recommend using them as much as possible. Heavy Blade also works best here, and yeah, you ideally want to have one dancer, at least one dancer, because you're limited to one dancer per brigade. Make sure you have a dancer; it'll help you push forward as much as possible. So mine in this case is Urzura. I have a Blade Mage, a Flying Blade Mage, and yeah, I just have a bunch of strong player phase units to start off. We don't want to be too focused on enemy phase units in the beginning of a brigade match. If you start with enemy phase units, you'll kind of rely on baiting rather than playing aggressive. And because there's a turn count, you have to be aggressive in the beginning. A few enemy phase units are ideal to try to like tank a lot of things near the mid game of a brigade, mid match of a brigade. So in this case, I have stuff like Mur and Baruka. Pala could potentially be one as well, but she can also work on player phase. And yeah, like Xander. And that's pretty much it, guys. Like I don't really focus on the enemy phase. You'll see that there is our boy Reinhardt, Small Hands. We have a Lin, we have a Soth with, So here's the other thing. When you do consider your team comp, also consider the units that you do bring in as extras. And I have a couple of extras here. So I have a Marth, Falchion, very useful in this mode, buffs up tons of units. I have an Elise, which works well with some of the cavalry that show up later because of Hone Cavalry, but most importantly has a Dazzling Staff, which can debuff and really put yourself into good positions with healing. Healing is ideally what I brought her for, but this could work better maybe as Pain, which you'll see down here. I have an Azama with Pain. Now, a lot of these extras and support units are very, very important, especially since they come later, that they carry Wings of Mercy. If they show up, so your initial team comp is here, they'll be pushed forward, and the only way to move forward beyond the mid-match and a point requires you to use something like Wings of Mercy, or they have to teleport to a fort. If they teleport to a fort, they may be out of position and not really helping that much. So that's why you'll see that this Marth that I've chosen has Wings of Mercy. You see that this Nino here, actually running a Dancer's Ring healing set, is also running Wings of Mercy. This may look like an awful build to most people on first impression, but this is actually a great build for this mode. Then we have a Soth also running Wings of Mercy, very useful, debuffing as well. We have a Zama, as you've noticed, with Wings of Mercy and that Pain shenanigan. So these types of builds normally don't work in other modes, but they're very good in this mode. We also have an Elwood with Gale Force and some ploys. We have a Raven with Gale Force. So, like I said, Gale Force units, splendid. I've chosen Gunther as well, even though she may have something like Chilling Wind, because she has that cavalry buff and Chilling Seal, which are also really good in this mode. So, now that I've described a kind of ideal team comp, for this map specifically, your brigade will change based on what sort of map you get. Also, we mentioned earlier that there were bonuses. So you saw that there were bonuses like armor movement, there's some for cavalry, always getting attacks. There's, you know, please consider those bonuses, please consider the maps. If you notice lots of trees, like a quick tip, if you notice lots of trees, armors tend to work really well. If you see lots of mountains, flyers. If you see like open plains, cavalry and infantry. So this is my, quickest advice to you. Do consider the bonuses though. So we'll jump in here. We'll use as much stamina as I can, which is 6. Jump into Lunatic and try to get all forts. This is the best case scenario. We could maybe accomplish an Infernal win, but Lunatic is what we most likely will get a full victory on, and we got to try our best. Okay, so again, there is some randomness involved here. You'll have to consider that sometimes you might end up with this, where there's just like a base kit unit, and that's actually a plus for you. Running into these units that just don't have that much built into them works out really well in your favor. But then again, you do run into some situations where they're like fairly built. I've run into +10 like Ignis Lava Bounce Hectors, +10 Lins with Blaral that are fully surrounded and just like almost impossible to kill. So there's some RNG involved here. This Alphonse seems pretty different. But yeah, you're gonna have to consider that sometimes you just might not be able to do things. So playing aggressively is how we want to do this, and how I'm going to do it is make sure that my most aggressive units are in the front here, having the option to either push this way or push that way, with some of the other units coming in from the sides. I want to have at least one enemy phase unit on the left side here, probably Myr, and then the rest will just bring it up through the rear. Now, whenever you're pushing, you have to be really careful to consider that all these units can teleport. This is very important when you're approaching forts. Don't just look at these 2 units defending here and be like, oh yeah, easy peasy 2 units. What ends up happening is a lot of units do teleport forward and clear out your team, and you end up wasting a lot of time. So we will move forward and we'll do our best. We can actually bait out Camus here. And we have 2 goat flyers to help out Baruka here. Oh, did I say Camus? Sorry guys, it's Camus. Sometimes it's very hard to predict AI, but I should have probably seen that coming. Because Owen has no assist skill, she does move before anyone on the enemy team. So Azura moved after Owen and Dancer. I don't think it was that bad for us though, because now we did actually bring our Gale Force down to 4, which means if I attack here, I will proc a Gale Force. Unfortunately, the Gale Force doesn't do much for us. Yeah, like at first you might look at this and be like, oh yeah, I can kill Olwen and then dance my Corrin and then like kill Ike. And yeah, that works in theory. But then you gotta realize that all these units here can actually teleport backwards. And by them teleporting backwards, all I do is overexpose my units over the mountains here, and then just end up losing ground that way. So what you want to do is actually just clear out this group of units, have them spawn again, and then take out the fort. Because once you gain the ground, you'll be able to easily surround that way. Yeah, we have to consider that whoever I do end up bringing forward now should be able to take on everyone here. Unfortunately, Takumi is generally the counter to my whole team right now, except Myr, but unfortunately Myr does also take heavy damage from Daedra. So charging the Gale Force may actually be our best shot right now, and then leaving Cordelia in a position to clear out some units next turn. So we'll drag back a Gale Force. But yeah, we'll just leave her here, and then if she ends up clearing some units next turn, that would be the most ideal situation. So we have 2 available plays to us. We could possibly just use our Shershi to go in and kill Daedra, which actually seems to be one of our better plays. The problem is, because of this troll bow, Takumi can actually teleport into some really good positions and snipe my Chershi. So I may end up losing Chershi here, especially since Takumi will teleport in, get danced, and then cause some havoc. It is important that you do take your time and try to be successful here, because you can end up giving, you know, a couple thousand points in the difference, right? Analyzing your plays, just making sure you go through with it a little bit slowly is ideal. Especially if you end up using what I did, which is, you know, I boosted ×6. It's very important that I have peak performance here. Wouldn't Azura move before Takumi? No, because he can teleport and snipe Chershi. He'll attack because he'll be in range of attacking. So he'll attack and then get danced. The thing... Yeah, it'll be like that. Azura wouldn't move first. She'll just kill herself. I think we may have to just make the sacrifice. Otherwise, we'll just... You know, if you don't play aggressively, you just end up losing time. He doesn't, like, he loses that frontal teleport, but he can just move 2 down and kill Chershi that way. He can also teleport over here to kill Valencia if I choose to repo, which I think is fine actually, because now Pala can do this. Pala also running Wings of Mercy, so she can actually teleport over here. We have to consider that Alphonse now can actually get danced by Azura, so Alphonse moves 2 forward. He's a melee unit that's closest to our unit, so he moves first. Then Azura dances him. So whoever we end up using here, which I think should actually be Myrrh. Yeah, let's use Myrrh to bait out Alphonse. Good old Alphonse. Doesn't know what the color advantage is. Oh, good thing our one unit that actually handled Takumi ended up baiting him out. So this ends up being really well, because most of our counters on the enemy brigade are down. And because of Cordelia's great positioning now, she can actually pick off Lyn without any retaliation. Unfortunately, Hector is a little bit of a problem, and then there is this Summer Xander with a Carrot Lance here. Pretty much base K Ryoma, that's really good for us. You have to consider that all these units can now teleport in, so to play aggressively here, we have to make sure that whatever unit we have on the front line can tank most of the hits. But nonetheless, we can actually kill a lot of these units now, just by using Cordelia and Summer Corrin accordingly. I may want to actually teleport Pala straight into the fray to deal with Hector. So this is a little bit of a risky play, but it can pay off very well. So I'll put her back. Now Pala can actually teleport straight in and beat up Hector this way. So we've actually ended up doing a full push on the enemy's base. So if you weren't using flyers here, you'd be in a lot of trouble. Like, you'd just end up getting through the middle into a giant choke point. Wow. Why is that happening? Of course, he's got the defense tile, so his resistance actually ends up being pretty impressive. I don't think we have any more Wings of Mercy users, so the only thing I can think of would be try to get like a goad, but yeah, a goad isn't gonna work. So we can instead try to push this way and just leave up Xander and Ryoma. Unfortunately, if I do end up doing that, we'll end up losing our front line there. Yeah, so Azura doesn't do too well. It looks like Cordelia might be able to totally wipe, though. If we do this... Yeah, if we end up dancing her to finish off Xander, she should also be able to proc a Gale Force, then kill off Ryoma as well. Normally Cordelia would not be able to kill Xander, but we can actually lower her HP first. Lower Xander's. He's like 2 times 4, like we were definitely going to die there, but lucky for us, we can actually... just finish him off because of Corrin's damage. So that ended up working really well. Here's our Gale Force. As I mentioned earlier, Gale Force is crucial to this mode. We don't want to do that just because, even though that looks like you could start taking the objective right away, if we leave up Ryoma, he's actually going to end up killing any of these units here, especially like Azura and such. We want to keep her alive. So let's just beat up Ryoma first. And then we can start cleaning up the rest of the team next turn as they spawn, and with that, hopefully we can take the whole base as it is. In the meantime, we just want to make sure we clear these units, because now they can teleport back, and Ike teleporting back would actually kill Azura. That's really bad for us. So we have to see if we can kill him right now. It looks like we might be able to. Well, we have a couple plays. We can kill Azura if we repo Chershi here, so you can kill Azura, Or we can try to use Alincia to kill Ike, and actually I think leaving Ike up is the bigger danger. Azura might kill Palla, we have to possibly give up Palla, but keeping Azura alive is very important here. So let's see if Alincia can actually kill Ike. 58 attack, she does 26 times 2, no buffs from Azura, so yeah, it looks like that is actually the play. We just repo her in, like this. Do we want to go drag back this way or that way? I think that way is better. So yeah, it looks like Palla is gonna die to Azura. Do we want to consider repoing these units back? I don't think so. Leaving them where they are seems like the best play. Alincia may want to get repoed back. I guess it depends, right? Maybe if Azura doesn't go back and kill Palla, that's a good thing for us, because then, yeah, I would say Azura can actually end up maybe killing Alincia instead, especially since she's running Deathblow, and I think killing Alincia would be better for us. That way Palla stays alive. So I'm gonna leave her where she is, and actually just move Myr up, and just move Baruka closer. We just used Alincia to kind of bait there. So a bunch of stuff spawned, which is totally fine. Now we just have to try to clear as much as we can. We can't take the camp, but Baruka can just slay Azura. Maybe Shirshi doing it is a better idea. And then Baruka can start hitting the camp. So we have a couple of plays now. This will give us Gale Force. I don't know if Cordelia can actually kill Lucina on the defense tile. I don't think she can. It does not look like it. She's running Lance Breaker, she's on the defense tile, possibly buffed by other units. Luckily for us though, Corrin can kill most units here. But yeah, I think hitting Lucina would be good. Clearing up the fort for then, if this was a kill, it would have been really good. Because then we would have won, I'm pretty sure. Fortunately, that's not the case. So let's see if we can win. If we end up killing you, on flyers, doesn't really affect us much here. This is unfortunate that we can't kill him. I think I'm gonna go with this. Yeah, these two units are blocking these two from helping. So Cordelia can hit the fort. She can get Dance and hit the fort again. So you can get 2 fort hits right now. The problem is, how do we get the last fort? I think clearing the units is actually the better play then, because that way we still need to reach our targeted 20 defeated enemies, because if we don't hit 20 defeated enemies, we don't actually get maximum score. So what I'm gonna do is end up just playing with the enemies here. Basically the idea is we're gonna try to kill them every turn. Okay, we can kill Jerome this way then, huh? Let's use Myr to attack, Palla to finish, dance some Corrin, and then kill Jerome. So yeah, this racks up the kills we need for the defeated score, and then we're just basically camping the fort. Winning faster doesn't give you any sort of bonus points, it's just a matter of taking all the forts. And since we haven't even taken this fort, it's just a good idea to push as far as we can. So all we're doing is basically just bullying them. Taking the fort, advancing forward. Marth can come in just to give his support buffs as well. And I think Corrin can kill this one. Yep, there we go. Extra says it matters if the round is ending soon. That's true. Thanks for pointing that out. Let's give them more area to spawn. I want 3 units to spawn here. There we go. Perfect amount of spawns. We can't really kill these units as easily. They're all green. Okay. So we use Myr then to move, to let Marth move in. See you later, Grima. Corrin can't kill anybody. Palla should be able to kill both. So that's our best case, we just answer. And unfortunately these units do not have any sort of Wings of Mercy, so they can't really help that much. Then we do get our victory now, as we kill Raven on the fort, and the fort has 2 life left for the exact victory conditions. Easy. So 20 kills exactly, pretty easy match. That's kind of what you want to do. I guess what I want to mention is the perfect S's. We've contributed 7,320 score. If you take your time, play this properly, you get it done correctly, you contribute the most amount of score, and you're just very efficient with how you play. It also didn't take me too much time. If you actually think about it, that could have been like 6 matches. that you could have like auto battled or YOLO'd, and it probably would have taken you more time than this. I don't know, maybe about equal time, but if you put in the effort for it, then you know that'll be the correct way to play the mode. So here we go. We got some tier upgrades, we got some orbs, some rewards, and conquest lances. Later, I might end up just you use this to refill your stamina. So when you have a lot of time to play, you know, you can just end up clicking that and contributing a lot. Now, what I do kind of recommend is not like blowing everything at once. I don't think that's actually a good way to do it. Maybe saving these lances for something further in the later rounds might actually be a better idea than just using them all at once here in the early rounds, because in the later rounds, maybe people may have spent their lances and, you know, they won't have the right stamina to be able to contribute properly in the right zones that are needed to make that comeback that you can properly contribute to. So we ended up contributing over here, I believe. Was it? Yeah, see? Here I am.
So, I came out of that weapon of yours.
Scandalous. So you see, we contributed the most. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Even considering me basically having a third of the score, you know, you'd have to play again to secure it. I think I would have to use like a lance or and then go again. Or maybe even just play once. Just play once and then play again for another try at it. But yeah, this is how I recommend choosing your battles wisely, in which you can influence it correctly. Someone did bring up a good point actually. The higher you score, the higher tiers you get to, the more bonus points you contribute to other areas. This is actually kind of important, so it might actually be worth it to use your lances ASAP just to get into the higher tiers as fast as you can. Once you're in the higher tiers, then I would recommend saving your lances, because every time you end up having a good score, like what you just saw there, I would contribute a lot to the neighboring areas as well. So like this one would have had a little bit of score from me, this would have had a little bit score from me, and this one would have had some score from me, as you guys can see. So yeah, there is a lot of decision making that goes here, but if you're just, you know, maybe you don't have a lot of time and you can't commit to that sort of analysis or that sort of gameplay, I just honestly recommend jumping into hard and then putting basically the highest quality units you can in here, but with some synergy. Maybe run with like full cavalry, full infantry, full armors. If there's a bonus that sort of moveset, then yeah, you can basically do that. Just jump in here with those units and you're good to go. Just do the auto battle. On hard. Don't try to do anything higher. It'll end up probably being a disaster. And then normal probably won't give you as many points. So if you just don't have the time to commit, try out hard. I hope that ended up giving you a little bit of an example of how to play it. Do consider your team comp very well based on how the map looks. Like flyers dominate this map. Alright guys, thanks for watching.